Hello everyone, welcome to Practically. We bring learning alive and we are in the 11th and 12th standard now and we are going to read about the living world today. Okay, so आज हम लोग पढ़ने वाले हैं living world के बारे में. Now this is the first chapter. Okay, this is like the first chapter, very basic but a lot of questions come. Okay, a lot of questions come from here. Okay, because this is very basic. So what happens, a lot of students know they tend to like not touch this chapter. Okay, so what happens, you miss this is easy, it's not very difficult to remember, this is easy to remember. Still a lot of people think that questions won't come, but that is where people are wrong. Okay, वहीं पे ही हम लोग गलत हो जाते हैं. हम लोगों को क्या करना है, हम लोगों को ये चैप्टर पढ़ना है, अच्छे से पढ़ना है, क्योंकि क्वेश्चंस इजी आते हैं यहाँ से. क्वेश्चंस डिफिकल्ट नहीं, काफ़ी इजी आते हैं यहाँ से. तो इसीलिए हम लोगों को करना है ये वाला चैप्टर, पढ़ाई करना है. ओके, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट. ओके, स्टार्ट करते हैं. तो इसमें से क्या क्या टॉपिक से क्वेश्चंस आ सकता है वो हम लोगों को देखना है. क्या क्या टॉपिक से ये क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं. ठीक है, तो एक तो हो गया व्हाट इज लिविंग. लिविंग में क्या होता है, यहाँ से क्या क्या क्वेश्चंस आता है. यहाँ से कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ लिविंग का क्वेश्चन आता है. कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ लिविंग, इसका बहुत सारा क्वेश्चन आता है यहाँ से. ठीक है, और क्या होता है, डाइवर्सिटी इन द लिविंग वर्ल्ड. इसमें क्या होता है, जो हमारा कैटेगरीज है, डाइवर्सिटी इन द लिविंग वर्ल्ड, डाइवर्स वी हैव सो मेनी स्पीशीज एंड एवरीथिंग, दोज नंबर्स एंड like those numbers, ICBN, ICZN, वो सब हम लोग को याद करना है. ठीक है, number of species and everything. ओके, फिर आ गया टैक्सोनॉमिक कैटेगरीज. टैक्सोनॉमिक कैटेगरीज क्या होता है, जो कैटेगरीज है, किंगडम, फाइलम, क्लास, फैमिली, एटसेट्रा, स्पीशीज, जीनस, स्पीशीज, एवरीथिंग दैट एंड ऑल वी हैव टू द. एंड फाइनली टैक्सोनॉमिकल एड्स, हर्बेरियम, की एंड एवरीथिंग दैट एंड ऑल. एक आप याद रख सकते हैं, एक की है टैक्सोनॉमिक की, वहां से काफी क्वेश्चंस आता है. व्हाट इज टैक्सोनॉमिक की, what kind of keys are used, what are the features of key. Taxonomic key, that is also very important. Okay, taxonomic key, that is also very important. Let's start then. Okay, so what is living, जैसे मैंने बोला, the characteristics of living. Okay, that is what we have to remember, the characteristics of living. Okay, so क्या है, some of the features of characteristics. So what makes us a living thing, what makes organisms a living thing, and what makes organism a non-living thing, that is what we have to know. Okay, so some things are living, some things are non-living. Okay, how do we differentiate them? Okay, what are those features which makes an organism living, and what are those features which makes something a non-living thing? Those are the differences, and that is what you have to remember. Okay, so what can we do? Okay, so what are these things? There is growth. Okay, so growth is not an absolute term here. Okay, because growth, you can see growth even in non-living things. You take an example of a mountain. Okay, so when there is a mountain, what you can do, mountain will gather dust. It can grow over a period of time if there's dust, soil, etc. A hill, a mountain, those are all non-living things, but it can still grow, isn't it? It can still grow because there is something or the other getting put inside. So that is what growth is, not an absolute term. We'll see what are absolute terms, we'll talk about it. Then there is reproduction. Again, reproduction does not mean, if you cannot reproduce, that does not mean that you're a non-living thing. Some people, they don't opt for reproduction. That is their own choice. Some animals cannot reproduce, such as mules, they cannot reproduce. Okay, that does not mean that mules are not living thing, right? Mules are very much living things, but they cannot reproduce. Their chromosomes, they have an uneven number of chromosomes, so they cannot reproduce. So again, not an absolute term. Okay, metabolism, this is something which is absolute. Metabolism can only be seen in living things. Okay, so an absolute term. Emergence, around, not an absolute term. Emergence here and there it can be. Okay, so now let's see and discuss its features. So let's now discuss about the features. So all organisms demonstrate growth, which include proliferation, mass, number through cell division, multicellular and unicellular organisms. So normally when you talk about organisms living, okay, living organisms, what happens? A lot of things, okay? How do we grow? There is cell division, okay, mitosis, meiosis, cell divisions are like that. Apart from that, what is there? There's proliferation and everything. So there's always growth. Even when we don't feel like we are growing, there's always growth. So that is why growth is a characteristic of living thing. But again, as I said, it's not absolute, because when we talk about hills, mountains, they grow, okay, they grow in size. So there are always exceptions. There are always exceptions in this rule. Okay, next, what is there? Okay, so reproduction denotes reproducing lineage having similar characteristics to the parent organisms. Reproduction, again, as I said, reproduction is a characteristic in terms of living organism, but there is always a but. As I said, some couples, they don't want to go for a child, okay, and some animals, they cannot reproduce. For example, mules, they have uneven number of chromosomes and cannot reproduce. Okay, so they have uneven number of chromosomes and they cannot reproduce. So again, not an absolute thing. Okay, next is metabolism occurs inside of a body, and metabolism refers to all the chemical reactions. What kind of chemical reactions? There is catabolism and anabolism. Formation of new products, okay, formation of new products and the disruption of products. Okay, digestion and all that, every single thing, so many chemical reactions are happening in our body. So everything comes up to the metabolism part. This happens only in living organisms, not in non-living organisms. Okay, next is the living beings are self-replicating, evolving and have self-regulating features that can respond to external stimuli. This very important, response into external stimuli. So very important, external stimuli. This is important. Then again, we can go for other examples, other characteristics such as movement and everything. That happens. Movement is not again an absolute term. Movement can happen in non-living organisms as well. Okay, so that is why this much is okay. Now, next. Okay, so diversity in the living world, as I said, there are so many organisms in the world, okay, there are around 1.7 to 1.8 million species. This includes everything, okay, this includes plants, animals, bacteria, fungi, everything, okay, everything it includes, but there are around 1.7 to 1.8 million, we hardly know, we don't even know like the 10% of it also we don't know. We are hardly somewhere between 800,000 and everything, okay. But there are around 1.7 to 1.8 million species known to us, most of them plants, animals, everything, sab kuch mila ke, okay. So plants, animals, microbes, everything together, they form the 1.7 to 1.8 million microorganisms. Okay, so the number and types of organisms present on the earth are called biodiversity. So everything, as I said, everything, plant, microorganisms, animals, everything together, we make the biodiversity. Millions of plants and animals are referred by the local names of place to place. So this is something which you have to understand, okay. Now, we come from India. We, if there are a number of different languages, okay, we have so many different languages, each region has their own language. Now when we talk about organisms, when we talk about different organisms, we have a particular name for each and everything, okay. So if you take a dog in English is a dog in Hindi is kutta, okay. So now in Bengali it becomes kukur. Okay, so this is what happens. We have different names. So that is why it is not standardized. Now I'm just talking about in India. You think, you consider the world, there are n number of languages, and when we talk about, you can get confused. There is no standardized. Okay, it's not standardized. So many, one organism, but so many names. So how do we do it? Okay, so the demand for the naming of them on a standardized pattern. So we need a standard. So many languages. Okay, so it has to be standardized. Okay, there are so many languages, so we have to make sure that each and every organism has a standard name. Okay, that is what we call the scientific name. Okay, that is what is known as the scientific name here. So scientific name, in local language only we say scientific name. A scientific name is something which is common in any language. You talk about Hindi, English, Bengali, Telugu, Tamil, anything. Okay, the scientific name will be the same only. If a snake is a snake, if it's a saap in Hindi, if it's something else in another language, but it will always be Naja Naja in scientific name. In every language it will be Naja Naja. Okay, that is the standard name. Now how do we name it? Okay, so nomenclature. Okay, that is what is required. How do we name it? How do we name an organism? It goes through nomenclature. Okay, nomenclature is the process of giving names to living organisms all over the world. All over the world, there is, as I said, anywhere, in any language, whatever you do, all over the world, it is the same. Okay, and the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, that is ICBN, contains a set of rules and principles dealing with the names of plants, while ICZN, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. Remember this, the full forms of ICBN, International Codes for International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, and International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, ICBN and ICZN. Okay, these two full forms are very important when it comes to NEET. Okay, these are very important when it comes to NEET. Okay. Okay, so what actually is nomenclature? That is what we have to understand. What actually is nomenclature? So nomenclature are the biological names, are in Latin and written in italics. So whenever we write a name, okay, whenever we write a name, suppose as I said, Naja Naja, right? So how do we write it? We write it Naja and, sorry, one second. This is how we write it. Okay, in italics, it becomes a bit tilted, nothing else, but we cannot tilt it, right? So we write it like this. How is it? If handwritten, then both the words are separately underlined, and in printing must be in italics. So I'm not printing it, I'm handwriting it. So it must be, the first word will be capital. Okay, the second one will be small. Okay, so Naja Naja. Okay, genus words start with a capital, as I said, and the specific epithet starts with the smaller letter. So Naja Naja. Okay, now how? See, this is how it is. To, by means to, nomial means name, and nomenclature means system of naming. This is what is known as binomial nomenclature. See, two words, no, genus and species. So many things. Mangifera indica. Mangifera indica is the scientific name for mango. Okay, so how do we write it? This is how we write Mangifera indica. There are so many other examples. Homo sapiens are humans. We know that, right? So we'll write it like this. Homo This is how we write Homo sapiens. Okay, next. Okay, so the taxonomic categories. Taxonomic categories are those categories, as I said, from how we divide it. Okay, that is how we divide the organisms. Okay, we have to divide it, right? We cannot put everything in plants. We cannot put everything in animals. We have to divide it in sections. So this is how we divide it. Now there is kingdom. First thing is kingdom. Kingdom, mostly it will be plant or animal or something else. Okay, mostly plants or animals like that. Okay, then there is phylum. Okay, division next to that. Class, order, family, genus, species. So you can make a mnemonic over it. Okay, so KPCOFGS. Okay, so you can remember it with a mnemonic KPGOFCS. Like that you can remember. Okay, so classification contains various steps that show ranks of categories. These are all rank. This is the first rank. This is the last rank. The taxonomic arrangement contains categories as overall part. It's an overall thing. And the taxonomic hierarchy together contains all the categories. Each unit of the classification is represented by the rank, generally called a taxon. So each of them, these are all taxons. These are all taxons. So this is known as taxonomy. Okay, next. So see, now we can discuss some questions. Now after whatever, now we know what are the important things which you have to remember, ICB and ICZ and everything. Okay, so now we can discuss some questions which have actually come. These questions, whatever I have selected, have already come for different kinds of different years of NEET. Okay, for the past 5-6 years, whatever has come for NEET, I've put that. Okay, so it will be easier for you when you watch this video. It will be easier for you to understand what kind of questions do actually come. See, questions in NEET will not be very direct. Okay, what I always say is, they'll take questions mostly from NCERT only, but they'll take questions from line, whatever you might, some big paragraph and you just overlook it. Okay, they'll take questions from that big para, some third line, fourth line, and they'll make a question out of it and they'll give you. Okay, so now what you have to do is, you have to read line by line, you have to read, and then only you can answer all the questions correctly. Okay, so we'll start. Okay, which of the following organisms is scientifically correctly named, correctly printed according to the international rules of nomenclature, and correctly described? So all in this 4 things we have to select which is correct in each and everything. So there is the scientific name, okay, and the this thing description is also given, so we have to select which is correct. Okay, so Musa domestica, the common household lizard and a reptile. Musca domestica. So Musca domestica is not a reptile. What is it? Musca domestica, what is it? Musca domestica is actually housefly. Okay, then there is Plasmodium falciparum, a protozoan pathogen causing the most serious type of malaria. Okay, so we can consider this. Let's consider this. Let's go to the other options and see what it is. We'll just consider this for now. Okay, Felis tigris, the Indian tiger, well protected in Gir forests. It's not Felis tigris. Okay, it is Panthera tigris. It is Panthera tigris. It is not Felis tigris. So this is also wrong. This is also wrong. Okay, E. coli. This is written only in a wrong way. We have to write it as Escherichia, not Entamoeba coli. No, it is Escherichia coli. Okay, so it is Escherichia coli, which causes all kinds of tummy infections and everything in the human intestine and everything. Okay, so this is again wrong. So it is Plasmodium falciparum. Let's see. It is Plasmodium falciparum. It causes, Plasmodium falciparum is a protozoa and it causes one of the most dangerous forms of malaria. Okay, next. Okay, biological organization starts with cellular level, organismic level, atomic level, submicroscopic, molecular level. So this is kind of easy. Okay, this had come in some like a few years back. It had come for NEET. Okay, so we have to see which one is correct. Cellular level, only cells. No, there are things inside the cells. We have nucleus and cell organelles and everything. So it's not cellular level. Organism, if it's not cellular level, it can never be organismic level, because organisms are again cell together. They make the tissues and then make the organs and then they make the organisms. So not organismic levels. Atomic levels maybe, but atomic also, they have their own inside also. There are a lot of things in atoms. So not atomic level. Submicroscopic molecular level. See how it goes from DNA. Okay, from DNA it goes to chromosomes. Chromosomes make the nucleus. Nucleus is in the cell. Cell make the tissues. Tissues, they make the organs. Organs together, they form the organism. So it's a whole thing. Okay, this is just an example. So it's a whole thing. So that is why it will be submicroscopic molecular level. See, submicroscopic molecular level. Like even the finest of microscopes also, sometimes it gets beaten, because the cell, there are so many parts that submicroscopic molecular level, the molecules go inside and it is so difficult to find DNA and everything also. Okay, it is so tiny. So it starts from the biological organization. It starts from the submicroscopic molecular level. Okay. Next, biosystematics aims at. So this is a direct question. This is not an indirect question. This is a direct question. You just have to say what is biosystematics aiming for. Okay. So the classification of organisms based on broad morphological characters, delimiting various taxa of organisms and establishing their relationships, the classification of organisms based on their evolutionary history, establishing them phylogeny and totality of the various parameters from field sources, and identification, arrangement, and organisms basis of the cytological characteristics. Okay, so many words, isn't it? It gets very heavy. So think about it. What is biosystematics? Okay, so it's actually this one, the heaviest of all options. It is that. Okay, so biosystematics basically means the classification of organisms based on their evolutionary history. We all have evolution. We have a whole evolutionary history. Okay, we were primates. We are from that family only, primate family only. Okay, so we started with we are from the chimpanzee family. Okay, we have grown up from different levels are there. Okay, so evolutionary history and establishing them phylogeny or the totality of various parameters from all fields of studies. So this whole evolution thing, when it comes to that means it is aiming at biosystematics. In systemized way, evolution goes from we were first Homo neanderthalensis, then we were Homo erectus, then we were Homo sapiens. Okay, so it's a proper evolutionary journey which comes up to biosystematics. Okay. Okay, which one of the following aspects is an exclusive characteristic of living things? So as I said, it has to be absolute. Okay, just like that, you cannot say that this is a characteristic. It has to be absolute. Okay, so isolated metabolic reactions occurring in vitro, not in vivo, in vitro. Okay, increasing mass from inside only. Don't know if it's correct or not. Perception of events happening in the environment and their memory. And increase in mass by accumulation of material both on surface as well as internally. So what do you think? What do you think is the right answer? Everything looks very similar, isn't it? Everything, all the options, they look very similar. Okay, as I said, these are all PYQs. Okay, so what is that? What do you understand here from here is, like, these are all very what they'll do, they'll give you a simple question. Okay, it will not be difficult, but what they will do, all the answers will look same. Okay, all the answers will basically look the same. Okay, now from there you have to pick out the right answer. So what is it? Isolated metabolic reactions occur in vitro, increase in mass from inside only, perception of events happening in environment and their memory, and increasing mass. So many things, mass and everything, so many repeated. So what do we have to do? We have to see what has to see. Isolated metabolic reactions occurring in vitro. Now you have to remember, see, what did I say here? See, metabolism is the absolute thing. Growth and everything happens, but metabolism is an absolute thing. Metabolism does not occur in non-living organisms. This breaking up of compounds and formation of compounds, this does not occur in non-living organisms. It happens in living organisms. So that is when it is absolute. So the answer here is isolated metabolic reactions occurring in vitro. Okay. So now one of the most important functions of botanical gardens. Okay, this is from the taxonomical aid. Okay, this is from the taxonomical aid thing. Okay, they provide a beautiful area for recreation. We have to talk about botanical garden. One can observe tropical plants there. They allow ex situ conservation of germplasm. They provide the natural habitat for wildlife. So we have to say, what do botanical gardens do? See, there are sanctuaries, zoos, national parks, so many things. Now we have to say, what does botanical garden do? The name itself suggests that there is a plant. It's about plants, not animals. Zoo and all are zoological. Okay, it becomes animals. Botanical gardens is plants. So now what will be the answer? They allow ex situ conservation of germplasm for plants. Okay, so this is how you have to answer. You have to start. What you have to eliminate things. We know botanical garden, zoological garden. Okay, zoological park. Now zoological park is animals. Botanical garden is plants. When we talk about plants, we have to talk about germplasm, the collection of seeds and everything. Okay, so this is what the answer is. Okay, so that's it for today. Now the thing is, every alternate day, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, we'll try to do something like this. We'll try to solve some questions. We'll try to get some idea like what kind of question can come. We'll try to go through some very important topics which keep on repeating. Every year these topics keep on repeating for NEET exams. So we'll be discussing about that every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next class. Sayonara.